Okay, for this episode, I am putting on, if I can get them, my Garnet earrings. Why? Because I'm an Aquarian. No, my January birthstone is Garnet. And, oh my God, I can't even get them on. And so I've had Garnet earrings throughout my life, right? Okay, I'm going to try this one. And Garnet is great for the root chakra. And I want to talk to you about the root chakra today. And we'll take a little break, and then maybe I can get my Garnet earrings on.
Hello, and welcome to the Constance Messmer Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in.
And we're back. And I have one earring in, and now this one. Cooperate. This is so funny. So last time we spoke, I told you about the ta-da! Got it in. Last time we spoke, I talked to you about the Earth Chakra, which has to do with survival, grounding, being present in your life, right? And today I want to talk to you about the Root Chakra. And I've got my Garnet ring on that I've had for a very long time when I was waitressing and earned enough money to buy it with its little diamond chips on either side because I was working like 5 jobs. Raise your hand if you've done that. You know, we do what we have to do, right? Chills to make ends meet. So I honor you if you're like taxed, exhausted, and overworking. This is the root chakra. This is you. This is all for you, right? Because the root chakra has to do with basic needs being met: food, shelter, and clothing. And this is a right. This is a right, but it's not always happening in our lives and in our world today for a lot of million different reasons, right? And so oftentimes this is where the struggle with alignment in life comes from, is when we're feeling like really out of it and, scared, right? And so there's this also sense of safety in the root chakra. Listen, I've been at this material for 30 years, right? And so I have a lot of insight into what's going on in the root chakra. And from various times of hands-on healing, teaching Reiki classes for these past 30 years and everything. And listen, if you watched my Earth Chakra episode, I was crying, and I just feel like I might even still now, probably because I really do know, and we all know, that food, shelter, and clothing are basic needs. And a lot of times on the planet, societies, groups of people, masses of people go without those basic needs. I hope this is not you. And I hope that you have enough abundance to gift out support when and how you can, right? In the ways that you can. So there's that. So the root chakra, at the end of this episode, I want to tell you about an activity that you can do to help maintain balance in your own root chakra, because the root chakra is at the base of the spine, right? It's at the coccyx, the tailbone, and it does affect the legs a lot, and it affects the surrounding area of your body. And what I found in my work is that when people would come with like maybe knee problems or ankle problems or foot problems or shin problems or whatever, I would look and work on that particular area of the body, but I would always go, if it was a leg thing, I'd always go back to the root chakra, because that chakra kind of manages the health. So between the root chakra, which is at the tailbone, base of the spine, and the earth chakra, both those areas run the energy to the legs, right? And so oftentimes I'd find emotional, mental, spiritual, energetic imbalance in the root chakra, which compromise the strength and maybe even healing ability of the knees or the ankles, stuff like this. Now, it's important that if we're capable throughout our lives, that we exercise and walk and move our bodies and run and bicycle and play sports and stuff like this, these physical activities to maintain health and fitness in the lower extremities. But also there's this energetic component, that, look at me, I'm struggling. Spirit just dipped into my mind. The fact that we have adopted children. I have 3 adopted kids. And, they came from, I don't want to share their story, but, when kids are up for adoption, there's usually a reason. And maybe food, shelter, and clothing was not being met in those scenarios. So when they came, I really did a lot of work on their root chakras to help them feel safe and solid. And so sometimes when you're feeling like you don't feel like you're getting those specific needs met, it's really looking at this area of your being and also, what's happening, and really not just kind of putting it off, putting it off, but noticing how can I get those needs met? Where can that happen? And again, if you have an overabundance of these areas, then in your life where you have enough food, shelter, and clothing that maybe you could gift out to others, that would be great. We all, when we, if you're in a great position where you go through your clothes and then you gift away or do clothing swaps. God, I loved clothing swaps when I was in my 20s. Girlfriends and I, we'd be done with our kind of look and we'd get together, and it was a great opportunity for just fun, but also mix and match and take what you wanted and give away what you didn't really care for anymore. These are even beautiful ways of connecting and helping, right? Because we can regenerate our look in that way. So that's a quiet way. Right. And the same is true with, food. Always there's food pantries that are in need, or you could work at a food pantry. I love my parents. When they retired from their day jobs, they worked at food pantries. They always collected food in the church and where they went or they go. And so these are things that I grew up watching them. Right. And so I do the same, and we do the same in our family. And if you have an extra, if you've made extra and someone down the road or someone that's going through a rough time, is bringing them food or giving them even little, gift certificates for the grocery or whatever. There's certainly been times in my life when I've had friends down and out and I've helped them out. And I'm trying to think, where there are times, listen, I don't ask for help a whole lot. So when I was in college and the poor college student, and living on the ramen noodles, right? Shout out to ramen noodles. And my breakfast back in those days was like Tang and a Centrum vitamin. Oh my God, how did I even survive? Like, how is my brain even functional to do college? But I was grateful that I was in college. I think I ate like one meal a day. What a riot, right? So we just do what we do. But I was very alive in college. And so it didn't bother me that I wasn't necessarily eating as much as I should have been. And I certainly wasn't suffering. I mean, I could have eaten if I wanted to. I think it was just college mode. And so I'm talking to those of you that are like, you know what, food, shelter, clothing, and basic needs being met. Mine are met, but maybe I need to kind of tweak them a little. Maybe I need to, go into better health. So already I'm giving you advice about how you can help bring balance to this part of you that might need a little attention, food, shelter, clothing, and what do you need to look at? And, because it's a sense of safety that I find in the root chakra, it also has to do with, are you living in a safe environment? And I know that there are those situations where it's difficult to leave an unfriendly environment or an unfriendly home environment, or you're in a stuck position where you can't afford otherwise. And so I'm sending out massive prayers right now. And I know all of us listening are going to do the same if we're feeling good and safe. But to those of you that are listening that feel like, you know what, oh my God, my misalignment is I'm not in the right living space, and I really need something better. So I always encourage you to use your 11 soul senses to ask for help, right? And then also act on it. I think I should go check out the want ads, or I think I should go look at the bulletin board, and all of a sudden there's roommate wanted and it's perfect for you and it is a new living situation. All of these things. I think our soul is constantly speaking to us, which is why I'm teaching you this stuff. It's the 11 soul senses about higher conscious living and getting the messages from spirit when we want change in our life because something's not right, and we ask and we pray, help, help, help. The universe comes forward to gift us with that help, and we follow the breadcrumbs that are the 11 soul senses, that are your like clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairaudience, those little moments of realizing like, oh, I've got this sense or this feeling to go do this or go do something. And then all of a sudden the change comes, right? So I think when we have these issues that are going on with the root chakra, especially, and we're asking and seeking help or different ways, then the universe will come together to make it happen. But sometimes we close our eyes or think that's impossible, or, change is scary. And I want to gift you out and sending out the love and light and courage so that you can be going after the change that you want in these areas, right? I think one of the most interesting things when I have been working with the chakra system, well, there's a lot of interesting things, but I remember, I talked to you about my red garnet jewelry that I've worn to help bring energy. Gemstones have a vibration. It brings energy to the particular chakras that they can work with. And you can use garnet or, rubies even. Do I even have rubies? Like, I'm trying to think of family heirlooms. I don't think so. I wish. They're cool, right? The closest I have is this ruby red shirt, maybe. Also, smoky quartz. Those of you that are probably yelling out, smoky quartz. I use smoky quartz for my root chakra. I've done that as well, right? That helps. And in regards to the hand mudra that I use when I'm focusing in on my own meditation to commune with and converse with my own root chakra and to bring energy to my root chakra is this. It's Prana mudra. Your pointer finger and your middle finger are up, and your thumb is touching your ring finger and your pinky finger. And I really like to use it when I'm sitting in meditation. Do you know what's wild? Is oftentimes I'll be walking through the woods or whatever, or going on a walk in the city or whatever, and my hands will spontaneously go into various mudras, and I'll be like, oh my God, what hand mudra am I holding? Like, how does my subconscious mind, who's connected to everything, right, know to all of a sudden throw my body into this spontaneous mudra? Same is true for the asanas, right? I've told you I've worked with asanas, and all the asanas that I suggest for each of the chakras are actually in my new collection, my new book, Soul Yoga. And because I want to tell you everything I know. And I remember one time I was working with people in the root chakra in a teaching class, and I was telling a friend about it at work. This was when I was also waiting tables while also working my business, because it was just, getting it off. And I told my friend Sheena, shout out to Sheena, I was like, yeah, and I was telling them that the mountain pose asana, the yoga asana, the mountain pose is really great for the root chakra. And she stood, I'm not going to stand up. If you're watching me on YouTube, I'm sitting at my stool at my desk. And she was like, oh, big deal. And so she stood there with her arms down and stood there. And she goes, well, how is that even anything? And I said, no, Sheena, it's a mountain pose. I said, I put my hand above her head and I said, stand there and stretch your body up so that your head reaches my hand. And so she was like, oh my God, I'm elongated. I was like, yeah, that's mountain, strong and tall. And that affects your root chakra in that it's about really being invigorated in your life. And so when I tell you that the first chakra you must heal for alignment, if someone comes in or if you're struggling with alignment in your life, is look to your root chakra and practice mountain pose, because it's about being firmly in your body, connected here and now. And if you're bedridden, you can stretch your body, right? Stretch it and elongate it as far as possible and bring your body up with the intention of bringing your crown chakra and the top of your head and your upper chakras that are out of your body into the heavens while your feet are firmly rooted on the ground, right? This is this earth and divinity connection, bringing ourselves fully present, especially in the root chakra, which is basic needs being met on the planet. It's really hard to function in life if you feel those basic needs are lacking, right? So if you feel like you're on shaky ground, this is where I'd look. If you're feeling like you're kind of energetically misaligned or anxious or all over the place, I'd check out your root chakra. The color vibration that resonates here is red. So if you're watching on YouTube, I'm wearing a red blouse, And so sometimes I find myself, whether or not it looks good on me, wearing something red, right? To remind myself, oh, I'm going to cry. This week I need to be grounded in my body. I need to be remembering about taking care of myself with my food, my shelter, my clothing. And so sometimes this is as simple as, I want to go clean my house. Isn't that yucky? Like, oh, I want to clean my house. But yeah, I want to reorganize my house, right? Who wants to clean their house? Sometimes I'm nerdy that way. Like I get, I'm supposed to be working or in my office and all of a sudden I find myself cleaning. It's a great escape mental escape while also accomplishing a goal, right? And so I might rearrange to shift up the energy in my home. This also works with my root chakra because it's shelter. So it's my workspace, it's my in my body physical, but it's in my energy of the environment, both of work and home. And so I might, you know, just kind of find myself like, what do I need to do to support this part of me, this food, shelter, clothing? My book, Soul Yoga, Using Your 12 Chakras as a Map to Reaching Your Highest Potential, is all about coming into union with your true self. Because you see, your chakras aren't just energy centers. They're where your experiences live, your wisdom, your soul's memory. In this book, I walk you through the 12 chakras so you can remember who you are. This could be your most important journey yet. To get your copy, visit my shop at constancemessmer.com. I'm a big proponent of the environment, so I've been working my butt off since I was young, and I've always bought organic. When I started my own life outside my parents' home and learned about organic, don't forget I worked for Greenpeace. So I'm like, save the planet, everybody. So, and the nutrients in organic and definitely non-GMO are more beneficial for our body. So sometimes it's time to kind of assess, where am I with that? Where am I with that? You know, in regards to buying healthy food and getting rid of the junk food and, noticing if I'm eating the junk food. If I'm leaning personally, and I wonder if you're the same, if you find yourself leaning into the junk food, you're anxious about something, right? This is you kind of like going to comfort for a reason. So I want you to comfort the problem. Like, what's the problem? And some people, if they're gravitating towards junk food or unhealthy food or substances, might think, oh, I'll go into my solar plexus, which is personal power, or my sacral chakra, which is relationship, sexual issues, creativity, new beginnings. But I would actually say to you, you should go into your root chakra, because that definitely is about food, but it's also about a sense of security. And if we're gravitating towards, any of our go-to, whether it's an addiction or our comfort zone stuff, then look at the root chakra. Like I've found, I'm like scanning people's body on my table and I'm like, whoa, you have a gambling addiction. And they're like, eyes open. How do you know? And I wouldn't call it that. And I'm like, spirit would call it that, and your body's calling it that. And it's in your root chakra. So you don't have the financial means to get the new house that you want, or to even buy your own house, because your money's going out in your addiction. So sort the trauma there. And for this person in particular, it ended up being, just from a very early age, avoiding their feelings, avoiding the truth, avoiding the situation, avoiding speaking up. So it's interesting to me with the root chakra, all the chakras, they're a map of your soul, which is why I wrote Soul Yoga, to help you understand that, when you use your 12 chakras as a map to reaching your highest potential. In the book, I guide you to, get rid of the stuff that's not working for you and really look. This is about really look. You know how you go on a scenic journey and you take in the sights. This is this is about you taking in the sights of your soul, because I think that you're amazing, right? And you've got your highest potential is whatever you deem. You are enough as you are. But if there's areas of your life where I want things better, or I want things different, or I want to be more satisfied or more happy or more joyful, what's going on? Soul Yoga helps you kind of clear the air to get there. And so I think, what else do I want to tell you about this root chakra? I think that this is a beautiful opportunity when you take a moment to look at food, shelter, clothing, basic needs being met. Those are the characteristics of the root chakra, that you have an opportunity to come to know yourself on a deeper level. You come to know yourself on a deeper level. Because to me, soul yoga is not about kind of fixing yourself or finding yourself. Well, it is about finding yourself, but it's really about remembering who you are and what you've come to do and what you're about. It's just this beautiful soul map that I want to bring you to. And so if you want to definitely, buy your copy, you can check out my shop, constancemessmer.com. There's the journal and the book, and then soon we'll have cards, inspiration cards. But I want to tell you about, I'm asking spirit at the same time. Oh, I forgot this big part I wanted to tell you. Oh my God, I forgot this part. I think I told you this in my long form video, the first go around with the 12 chakras that I work with and the root chakra. But I want to tell you here, one of the coolest things that I found on the body when I was working with the root chakra was the radiance of energy frequency down each of the legs, and how in my work for me, right, I was able to ascertain information about the family dynamic of the father's lineage and the relationship with the client to the father down the right leg. And I was able to find information about the relationship to the mother and the mother's family and the mother's lineage down the left leg of the patient on the table, the client on the table. I don't want to say patient, the client on the table. I'm not a doctor, but I did see clients, right? And the energetic component and expression was really interesting, very interesting there. You know, knees in my line of work, the symbolism of knees when there's knee trouble is ability to move forward, right? And what else? I think I've told you that in the hamstrings, when I found tight hamstrings, sometimes it had to link with depression, and I could follow the energy up to, was the depression based in the root chakra, or was it somewhere else? Now, tight hamstrings could also be they're a runner and they don't stretch enough, right? You know, this kind of thing. And it doesn't have to be depression. So it's about going into the energy field. This is why I also wrote Soul Yoga, is to work with practitioners that do energy work and body work and healing work, that this would be a great resource for them. And so it's about going into the energy as it presents itself and understanding and, you know, having a relationship with the material that you find there, so you can unravel the mystery that is presenting, right? So that you can help them move from imbalance or pain or chronic pain or whatever to more wholeness as best as possible, right? And so that was fascinating to me, to really map the body energetically and to realize what it was revealing to me. So for me in my work, it became this interesting relationship with the material and the symbology of the material. I wonder if you used the book Soul Yoga as a reference for your healing modality, if you do any kind of body work or energy work or healing work or therapeutic work or doctor, nurse, therapist, any of it, any of it, OTPT, all of these things, right? Practitioner on whatever level, how you map the body and what you find. I think that's really why I want to teach you to enter into the metaphysical awareness that is presented on this soul level, you know, because we're body and soul. Can't just live through your physical senses. I mean, you could, but your soul senses are knocking at your door for this higher conscious living and this expanded awareness. And I want to help you be empowered by that. So I am going to look in the Soul Yoga book. I've marked the page. I'm going to look in my Soul Yoga book. And there on page 72 are some suggested activities to maintain root chakra balance. And I'm just going to read you the first one that I have. In the book, I have a lot of sections about each chakra, you know, affirmations you could tap into and post on your mirror. I always post those on my mirror. And affirmations are only really, I think, you know how I feel about affirmations. If you've been following me, you know. Thank you if you've been following me all this time. And thanks if you're a member or you give super thanks and all these things. And if you're a subscriber, I so appreciate you. I so appreciate you. You know, every little bit helps and I'm really grateful. So the affirmations, you know, are really powerful if the blocks are cleared so that you can actually believe them. You could fake it till you make it. But also, this book helps you remove the blocks so that the affirmations can take hold and take root in your system. See what I did there? Root chakra, take root. Okay, so I'm going to read to you the first of the suggested activities to help you maintain the root chakra. And this is not what you're going to think, right? You would think, oh, Constance, it's food, shelter, clothing. So you're going to give me pointers like you've already have. No, I'm not. This one is to take an inventory. Oh, I'm going to tell you this first. This is to help you stay in alignment with your root chakra, right? Solid. The two chakras that have to do with foundation on the planet is the earth and the root. And so this is to help you with this foundation, right? Take an inventory of habits that don't support you. Take an inventory of habits that don't support you. Pick one to work on for positive change. Pick one to work on for positive change. And then move on to the next on your inventory list. So take an inventory of habits that don't support you. Pick one to work on for positive change, and then move on to the next. And then the other activities kind of help that, but also are their own activities that you can do. I think a good friend, right? A good friend, we'd have these conversations, and I consider myself your good friend. And if you've been hanging with me, I know a lot of your names. I consider you a good friend. And so this is the advice, right? We'd be walking along and chit-chatting in my space or your space. And we'd be saying, well, what could help me with my root chakra? What could help me feel more aligned and more secure in my life and safe? And I'd say, well, why don't you take an inventory of habits that don't support you in the life that you want? And then why don't you work on one positive change and see how that goes? Just take one. I'm a lifetime or Weight Watcher person, and they're always like, to change a habit, take one that you could do. Don't try to overwhelm it. I have to do that because for me, food is my go-to comfort. So I have to watch it when I eat, when I'm beyond full. I'm like, what are you doing here, Constance? What's coming up for you? I have to track food. Otherwise, I go absent-minded, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, golly, I'm eating a whole lot of sugar. What's coming up for you, Constance? Little indulgence on my life. So I'm going to actually in the future write a little cool journal that has helped me. I'm going to write it so that maybe it could help you being an empath, right? Because food is my go-to as an empath. And so I think I'm going to take my own advice. What's a habit that doesn't support me? Zoning out and using food, you know? And so how do I want to work on that for positive change? And for me, it is tracking, because then I can be like, all right. Because when you have to write it down, you have to go, do I really need this or want this? It makes me present in my body for those things, which is cool. And so that's just an example of how I might use this and how it might relate to food, shelter, clothing, basic needs being met. Also, too, do I really need that, whatever, blouse, sweater? I'm really good on that. When in doubt, go without. This kind of things, right? Those kind of things. So I'm asking spirit, when I'm doing that, right? You can see how I'm like, is there anything else? I want to circle back to, there might be moments in our life that we don't feel safe and secure with our basic needs being met. And the universe, that's not what it's supposed to be. That's not bad karma. Sometimes it is opportunity for other people to help. So if you're called to help, help. And definitely help yourself first, right? Remember the oxygen from the plane. Is that where you wanted me to go with this? Okay. This is how spirit's like, I want you to close with an affirmation. I'm like, okay, we're going to close with an affirmation. So this affirmation is from my book, Soul Yoga, and it's from the Root Chakra. And my eyes landed. I'm like, which one? And they're like, just open the book and look. There's like several here, a lot. My eyes landed on this one. So I'm going to leave you with this. This is your affirmation. I know what I need and I get it with ease. I know what I need and I get it with ease. It's a positive affirmation. I know what I need and I get it with ease. Chills. And Spirit says, if you know what you need, write it down. Be very clear. Trust that you're going to get it with ease and follow the breadcrumbs. If you've watched my episodes on manifesting, sometimes things just happen immediately, and other times it's co-creative. And so this is me closing out by gifting you with this awareness that if you're struggling with your root chakra and food, shelter, and clothing and basic needs being met, there's a better way. I know it. And I know that some of you are thinking, but what about on a massive global scale? You got that right. That's why we're here trying to raise consciousness. That's why you're putting into practice your magnanimous self, because your vibration helps change the world. As we heal others. And there's a lot happening. There is a lot happening. We work on us and we spread that to our immediate family and surroundings. And we spread that to our community, and we spread that to the area that we live, and we spread that to our world, right? And always, you know me, prayer and energy works. Holding the root chakra of the planet and everyone's root chakra. And holding space for prayer and love. Compassionate heart of gifting, caring for self and one another, and waking up hearts, opening hearts and minds for all humanity and the planet. That's what I'm holding in my hands. A lot of light for that. So, I believe in you. If this root chakra episode has resonated with you, regardless of whether it has or not, I am sending you healing light. I hope it's been helpful. If you're a practitioner of the work, or if you're just looking to work on your own sense abilities, your soul senses, and a relationship with your own essence and energy. And so sitting up straighter in mountain pose. Yes, it's about a standing posture, but you can also remind yourself to do it as a seated posture. Stretching the top of your head from your spine, from the root chakra, from the base of your spine to the above the top of your head, and running that energy down into Mama Earth. Right? Thank you. Thank you for tuning in.